Welcome to First Impressions. My name is K.C'arl Lee.
And I'm Jaysen Headley.
So, First Impressions is basically when we read or watch something and we give you our first initial impression of it, literally, so that you get to know exactly what we feel when we felt it.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go through what we got this week, and we're going to tell you a little bit about what we actually read and give it a rating between 1 and 10.
Yep.
And so here we go. Let's start.
And that rating will all be based on what we thought of the art, cover, and story. So we're basing our 1 through 10, kind of that overall what we got from the book.
Absolutely.
So first up, so this is Afterlife with Archie. This is actually the first trade paperback, and it collects all 5 of the issues so far in the story. I picked this up because I've heard great things about it.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
Yeah, I just read it. Holy crap. I don't care if you've never read Archie. I don't care. Just read it. It's an amazing zombie story. It is damn near perfect. If you aren't reading it, pick up this book, give it a read. Art is great. Writing is great. I would give it a 9.5.
Wow.
If not a 10.
Nice.
It might be a 10 for me. But for right now, first impression, I'm going to say 9.5.
That's great. Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. Oh, I've seen some of his work. He's did some Marvel stuff. Here we got Batman Eternal 9. We're caught up. We read it. I thought it was still... that's the thing about Batman Eternals. It's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good overall. And I gave it a 8.5 because it's really consistent and there's a fun surprise at the end.
Yeah, I also read this one, and I gotta say, I love John Layman's writing. I mean, no shocker, he writes my favorite book, which is Chew. I didn't like the art very much this week, though, because they do that thing where they change out every single week. The art for me was really, it was serviceable to the story, but it wasn't great for me. So I'm gonna give this week an 8, because I loved the writing, didn't love the art so much. And the cover's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool cover.
I'm normally not a big fan of Gillian March, but I thought it was good enough that I was really enjoying it. Like I said, it's very consistent and easy to follow, and there was always something a little fun.
It is easy to follow despite a lot going on. Yeah, and I like that a lot. Cool, what's up next?
Big Trouble in Little China. You ever watch this movie in the 80s? I love this movie. It's a great, fun movie, and reading this, I was reminded of how much fun that movie was. I forgot there was these, crazy, mythical martial arts characters in the movie, and I remember that, and it was great. So this was kind of an impulse buy because of the movie, so it was branding. It was nothing to do with the art or anything. But John Carpenter has a little, he has some part in it, and also Eric Powell of Goon. And that's really, really popular, though I was never really a fan. So it was fun to read, but I don't know that I'm going to get any more. But, I love Big Trouble in Little China.
Cool.
Earth 2. I recently got back into this, and Earth 2 is so much fun. I just read it. I gave it a 9.5.
Really?
Yeah, because this is almost better
I should be reading this.
better than a lot of stuff that I've been reading in the New 52.
That's great.
And this is Earth 2. It's just so much fun. The character's great. Hawkgirl's so great in this. She looks great, and I love that new character, Val. Great ending. It just flows. It's fun. It's the reasons why I also like maybe Injustice a little bit, just this Elseworldy type of thing. But the whole conversation with Jimmy Olsen and Batman is awesome. I loved it.
Awesome. I'm going to check this out. That's great.
The art is great. What do we got? Nailbiter 2. I just read Nailbiter number 1, and now I just read number 2, and it's better than number 1. I thought the pace is just really, really good. I kind of compared it to Bedlam at first, and Bedlam is about a serial killer who reforms himself and now is helping the police to, solve all their cases, but inside in his head he's still really, really crazy and he's trying to hide it. That's all really, really interesting psychologically and everything, but the story itself, I ended up getting kind of bored and it just didn't flow. But this actually flows. It's probably because, I hate to say this, but maybe it's just better storytelling, better writing, and so it's paced better, and I really, really like the art. It looks like something else, but different enough to make it stand out. So I really like this title so far. It's really good. Nailbiter number 2.
What'd you rate it?
I gave it 9.5.
9.5. Wow, you really like the books this week. That's great. So next up is Rise of the Magi, which is by Mark Silvestri and Sume Kezgin. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So this is a brand new Image title that just came out today. Really shorthanding the story here, but it's basically about this kind of mythical world where there's this orb that's the source of all magic, and also the Big Bang happened from this orb, and really fantastical world. Really fun story, actually, because it's kind of, this is a little spoilerish, but about this kid who ends up kind of getting on the run because everything kind of goes to hell in this fantastical world, and he gets sent to our world to try and find someone to help save his own world. The one thing I'll say is there are two parts of this book. The first half is done by one artist. The second half is done by, I think it's the writer. Right? Yeah. And I will say the art in the first half is much better, though I found myself not hating the art in the second half, though it's not as good. It services the story, but not as good. And it's a little weird to have one book with two very different artists. Not just different artists, but very different artists. But if you like a good fantasy story, if you like something like Neverending Story or something where, a character is in a fantastic world and comes here, or, that it's just a really fun story, and it was really easy to read and really easy to follow. So check it out. I'd say probably 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man. Last month we got a cliffhanger where he found Peter Parker. This month we get pretty quickly, Miles Morales comes to the conclusion that Peter is a clone. There's a lot of dialogue in this book that I feel like is very Ultimate Spider-Man, where it doesn't really go anywhere. It's kind of just him and Genki kind of going back and forth with each other. But it's fun. It had a pretty good cliffhanger, though it wasn't as big as the first issue. So this one I'm going to give an 8.0. But if you like the series, the art was, again, stellar. The writing works. It's just that not a whole heck of a lot happened in this issue. I found myself being like, I probably could have skipped this issue and not missed a whole lot. So, cool. All right, so a special note about Tiny Titans. We actually bought this for a friend of ours. He's turning the ripe old age of 4, but I decided to give it a read. It's really great. If you have kids and you're like, man, I got to get my kids into comics, or your friends have kids, you're like, I want to get my friends' kids into comics. So adorable, so cute, great art. These guys have done books in the past. Really easy to follow for kids, I would think. Even fun. There's a lot of good jokes for you if you like comics and you want to read comics with your kids. So I really suggest it if you want something to read with little kids.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you rate this?
I don't even know how to rate this.
Okay.
But pick it up if you like kids' books. All
right. We also picked up Wake number 9, but we are actually not caught up with Wake, so we didn't read it yet. But we did pick it up, Wake number 9. And we both read Woods number 2, James Tynion IV, and Michael Delanis. So what do you think?
I mean, this book is fantastic. The writing is really solid. I appreciate that it's so easy to follow. They explained what happened last time, but without being obnoxious, like last time on The Woods. And I appreciated that. Though, they could have explained a little bit better. The dynamics between the characters are great. The writing is great. The art is great. I really like this book. I can't wait to see what happens next. It's one of those books where if it were in a trade paperback, I would just keep reading. Like, there would be nothing stopping me from reading, just going and going and going with this book. I love it. So giving this issue a 9.5.
Wow. I don't think there's really anything special about the cover. It's all about
I love the colors.
The colors. Yeah, I was just about to say the really big thing about it is how they use color.
Yeah.
And the whole intro that you were talking about, I liked it. I thought, oh, that's great, because I want to be caught up and remember what was going on in the first issue. But I was like, wait, what is that? Is that over the loudspeaker in the school? I don't know that they would really say that, but whatever.
Yeah.
But it was good. I needed that. I mean, there's some character relationships and characters I just kind of didn't remember, but it was still very, very easy for me to jump back on and follow along, even though there's so many characters and so many things going on. But I also really very much enjoyed it. It's the dialogue, I think, is really, really good in it.
It's fantastic.
It's very easy and fun to read. And what did I give it? Oh, wow. Did I not even rate it? I didn't rate it.
Well, what would you
But
give?
I really like the librarian here, and the art is great. I would probably go 9.5 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and something else I'll say for this book is there are a lot of books coming out recently that want you to really get invested in the mystery of the world, like Morning Glories or Mind the Gap. This is the first one of those books where I really do want to know what's going on, because the mystery is just enough because it's about the world rather than every character has this deep-seated backstory. It's more about discovering the world and the creatures of the world and the new scary thing they find in the woods, and that to me is really, really exciting. I cannot wait to see what the next horrifying thing is that jumps out that tries to get them. It's great.
And I really do believe the dialogue is a huge part of why this book is good and makes it easier to read, because it's good. The dialogue really makes it for me.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, cool. Wonderful.
Yeah, that's our poll for the week. So let us know what you got in the comments down below. We'd also love to know what you thought of the books we're reading. Is there something we should be reading that we're not reading? Did you say, wow, we didn't pick up something? I also want to throw out a quick mention. We did pick up 2 books digitally that we'll talk about just really quick. Iron Fist, The Living Weapon, number 3 we picked up this week. I read it, really love it. If you're a fan of the old Iron Fist books, definitely pick it up. I also read The Superannuated Man by, who was it by? Ted McKeever. It is a black and white book, but I dare you to give it a shot because I found that I was quite surprised by how interesting it was.
I mean, I read some of his other stuff, and it is always weird and odd, so I imagine it was probably really weird.
It's really weird and odd, but if you can give yourself a chance to try something like that, I really had a lot of fun with the book, and I will be reading issue 2. So,
okay.
Cool. So, as always, like, subscribe, let us know what you think in the comments down below, and we'll see you next week.
Check it out.
Bye.